Alright, I'm doing everything by my fucking self.
I appreciate you, Steve. We're moral support. Should we do a Steve Mexican wave? Oh.
TPK is written on my character notes here for this. Hal. Don't do the Stitch voice. Everything working good. Check as we're starting the stream, Steve, you moron.
I don't want to die again.
We're not planning to.
I mean, we weren't planning to last time.
Yeah, nobody ever plans to die.
Pretty certain I was going to die.
Only the sadists plan to die.
Only when I realised that I drew really poor weapon choices at the start. And I suddenly went, I'm going to die now.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
anyway.
Hiya. I've got to talk on my camera whilst these two watch me over there. And it's, oh my god, you're so cute, the pair of you. TPK. Anyway, cool. Hi, welcome to the Alignment Unknown Stream Test 2. As we're going to refer to it, because the first one didn't go well. We are currently relocated to the lovely Miss Torrance's, Mrs. Torrance's, apologies. I said Muzz and then went, I should probably break some hearts now.
I've been married for quite a long time, but I still feel weird calling myself a Mrs. It's really strange.
Break hearts now so people can be like, oh damn, I thought.
Soz peeps. Because obviously.
And we already know about the lovebirds that me and Adam, so
yeah,
sorry,
exactly.
Kyra.
Doesn't mean I don't love you.
Anywho, right, so tonight is a test stream again. We have got a very wonderful, I was about to say something else that starts with a W, which I describe the one shot that we will be playing this evening to be, but it's not that. Self-deprecation on the internet. I am so 2008 Steve. Anyway. I never stopped being 2008 Steve.
Tumblr Steve.
No, I was about to say, never left
Where is my
MySpace.
MySpace gone? How will people know my loves on Bebo? Anyway.
I love Bebo.
Who's going to know who your top friend is?
My top friend is... We all know who my top friend is. And unfortunately, Adam isn't here tonight, so... Okay.
That's the point. We'll get into a game.
Top friend who voluntarily hangs out with me.
I voluntarily hang out with you.
You're both making this very awkward now. Anyway, hi. Let's go with, because I have a very hit the ground running game for tonight. No, we'll do this quickly. As you've seen, our quality of stream has been somewhat lackluster.
I was going to go interesting.
Interesting.
We had some technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. So, if you would like to help, we have a Patreon, we have a Redbubble. All proceeds will be going to some setups. So we have making all of this better, including as Adam made the joke, and I feel like we should carry it on in spirit. The new tier on Patreon being Steve's cocaine addiction. I was glad that went out on the internet.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it went out on the dodgy connections that you could have just
Oh,
ignored.
it's fine.
But no,
now it's on the podcast as well in a week's time. Yes, if you'd like to help out with some monies, I will either help you rob a bank, or you can pay to our Patreon, which has some fancy things, such as you have different tiers which get you bracelet. Have you got your bracelet on?
No, it's upstairs.
No, awkward. You can get to see my character notes, or character DM notes that tell you what I'm running. Spoilers. You've just seen that bit that says, Kyra's character dies painfully after finding out Dad killed... Sorry, that was a different campaign.
But at least this time you get to see her face reactions.
Yeah, this time you get to see the pain.
It's basically the reason that we wanted to stream.
Anyway, moving swiftly on. We will quickly plug the fact that we have a live show on the 15th of June from 2
o'clock
I don't know why I keep getting too far. I know I've got too far in my head.
Because that's matinee theatre time.
That's a matinee theatre
time. We're not doing theatre.
No.
We need enough time to play a game.
Yes, we're doing 2:00. 2:30 if you already know how to play, just wondering. And the little bit where I talk about how the game works will probably be done by then. And then we'll run a game which has been kindly donated to us, or at least assisted with, by those there lovelies over at Adventure League. And then...
Thanks, Dan.
Yes, thank you, Dan, of the European sector, the man who I have not had to do illicit things for those. We're going to a good start.
Bad enough, Dan.
Anyway, so live show. We're doing a learn to play / come play a Adventure League session with the guys from Alignment Unknown and some other friends. That will be at 2:00 on the 15th of June. If you're feeling a little less confident in playing, but just fancy watching what happens when professionals play D&D, they're professionals. They have a deal. We're working with Modified Role.
That's it. That's where the professionals come in.
We've teamed up with Modified Role, which is another great podcast that you should go check out. I will tell you now, you will fall in love with Alreus, and then you will fall in love with the rest of the cast as well. You can let go of my family now, Jordan. Thank you. So that's the plug for the live show, which will be at 7:00 on the 15th. We'll be doing a recording of it as well, hopefully, so that we can use them as special episodes for both Alignment Unknown and Modified Role. I'll be DMing whilst the two groups kind of work out what the hell's going on.
We never know, so it'll be the same.
It's a bit like Alignment Unknown, but we're friends. Anyway,
We have friends.
we don't understand that bit. Anyway, without further ado, we'll. I think that's everything we want to plug beforehand. Anything anyone else wants to say? We don't have to plug Jay Kristoff's game this time. However, go read it. Go read the Nevernight Chronicles so you'll understand the one-shots later on in the campaign. Because that test one didn't work. Anyway.
It's okay. We
It's
only
okay.
lost one character.
It's only one character died, and only half of my life was destroyed as I went, they like railroading. Why are they being so sandboxed today? Anyway. That's that. Live show. We've grown as people.
We've grown as people.
We've done live show. We've done the Patreon. We've done games.
Please put Alan Bennett away. He has no place on this podcast.
He will always be here. Anyway, right. I guess there's not much else I want to talk about. Is that no? You guys.
No.
How's your day? No, sorry.
Don't start that.
Don't start. We'll have an awkward talk. Right. So. Here's the game. Here's the game plan. Here's the plan before the game, because the game will start in about 50 seconds time. I'm going to hit this button, which goes really fancy into the theme tune that we won't hear. So start swearing in about 5 seconds. I'll do a cue.
I won't risk it. Because just as soon as we cut back.
Bumble snatch. What the?
Maybe that should just be our thing, is that during the theme tune we record you saying as many swear words as we can.
And that will be available on the Patreon.
That's available on the Patreon.
Awesome. Nothing else I want to talk about. If this works, I'll put this out now just so we're aware, because this will be on the podcast as well. 5th of May should be the start of the week of releases of Campaign 2, if this works. We're planning to release the episodes, the podcast episodes as usual, on Monday and Thursdays. You'll get the first half of the episode from the stream on Mondays, the second half on Thursdays. The VOD will be going out possibly Wednesday. We're going to clarify how easy it is for me to get the video off stream once we're done, and also get it onto YouTube and such. With that being said, if this doesn't go well and the internet is against us playing once and for all, we'll have to just record, and we'll keep you lot posted how we're doing it.
Until we've raised more money for better tech stuff.
Better tech stuff at the Patreon. We don't play bards for a reason. Theme slam.
System error. Alignment unknown.
Drink you whore! That's how we come back. Hello. Hi. I couldn't.
I hate you so much.
Sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm sorry. This is good. No, I don't want to.
I'd like to thank, before we go into the game, I'd like to thank the people at Shakeaway for my energy this evening, because that marzipan did work. He tried to water it down with Battenberg rather than...
What the fuck?
I was like, I want... Anyway, right. Before we go in, because I'm going to hit the ground running, like I said, can I have just, for the loves, to the camera, or to the camera... I don't know how to put... Fuck it. For the camera, could you tell us all about your lovely characters you'll be playing this evening? Who'd ever like to go first?
I went first last
Hannah.
time.
Damn it! So my character is called Skree. She has a very... she's basically the only reason I got onto the podcast, let's be honest, guys.
No, it was just that you were the only person I knew available on Wednesdays.
It was a mixture of many things.
And her groundbreaking talent. Tell us about the character before you go.
So Skree... Shut your face. Kill her, she will come back and eat you. No.
Oh, there's going to be a change to the game now.
No.
Go on.
She's a half fairy dragon ranger. I know, right? Basically, she started life as a tiny velociraptor. We did an animal one-shot. What are you laughing at? What did you just point at?
Terry Crews has written a race for the D&D game.
Just spotted that. Shut your face. Leave my dyslexia
Alright,
alone.
10, 9, thank you.
Yes, so she started life as, in our animal one-shot that we played with friends, as a tiny velociraptor, and at the end of that they got potions that made them into humanoid equivalents, and so she's a half fairy dragon and a ranger. Basically all she wants to do is kill things.
For those who are interested, the half fairy dragon race is something that I wrote for a homebrew campaign that we were running a long time ago, and bounced off our animal one-shot where you played a velociraptor that became it, as you said, and it is available at the Patreon. Smart bastards. Anyway, continue!
Is there anything else you need me to...
No, that's cool.
I think that's it. She's awesome.
Your character, please, Kyra.
Hello. Okay, so I'm playing a wizard. I'm going to die so quickly. She's called Serophina Hawthorne. She's from a family of glassblowers. And they're what you'd call new money. Unfortunately, she doesn't like glassblowing, so she kind of wants to go into sales, but she's shit. She got like a charisma of 8. So,
how has Skree got better charisma than you?
I think Skree's got a really good eccentric dress taste. I think people look at Skree and go, you know what, you're setting trends. They look at Serophina and go,
so Harry set a trend with Eco Chic.
yes, I did.
And now Seraphine is
She ain't gonna set no trends.
setting a trend of... Or
But
trying
she does
to...
illusions, guys.
She does illusions.
Yeah.
Illusions. So, just so I remember, we have a half-fairy dragon ranger called Skree, and Seraphine was a, you've just said it, lightfoot halfling wizard of illusion. Lovely. You will
this year.
be aware that we are down in Adam, so there is an NPC that they will be meeting, and I will describe him later.
Spoilers.
I mean, I can leave you two to die if you want, but you don't have a healer.
I'm really good.
And also, I've seen what happens to wizards.
Yeah, I've literally got on my other languages and proficiencies, armour, none, you're fucked. So, there we go.
Yeah.
I know how it's going to go.
But at level something, you start getting like fireball and stuff like that, where most people's spells are like, I can make a tree. You go, yeah, I destroy a city.
Don't be mean about the trees?
I don't.
Just saying.
I have no issues with the trees. I will continue talking. We are playing a level 10 one-shot. So the guys have just completely boosted up a character of their own choice. There is a hard and fast rule of just this is more for the test than it is for the quality of game. So that's my excuse.
How dare you?
So I meant me when I go. So there's a point in my notes where I've stopped writing. So if you can guess where I start improvising and stop reading, you will win my dignity because I haven't got it at the moment. Anyway, so short prologue. There we go. Let's have some music, shall we? Jesus, it's so boring in here. Jesus, let's set the atmosphere, shall we? It'd be lovely. Whilst we're here, I know I keep talking. I'm sorry. I'm going to do this for the rest of the night. Some of the music is by the lovely Kevin MacLeod and used as his copyright free. And one of the songs we have a fondness for, which goes a little like this. There it is.
Love it.
But some of the music is also performed or written or whatever you want to call it. It is done by the loves over at Bombarded, which is another wonderful podcast you should go check out. Go to their Bandcamp at bombarded.bandcamp.com to get... They've just let out season 3, which is the latest episode, last 10 episodes of their background music and all the songs they do because the cast are all in a band and talented and...
They're beautiful.
Prologue. I love you, Bombarded. You make my day so much better.
They're gonna say something
They make it so much better. Unlike, those suckers over at Beep for where the podcast should go. I'm joking, I love all the podcasts I listen to. Apart from that fucking alignment unknown. Anyway, thunder rolls over the hills of the north.
Not to this soundtrack, it doesn't.
Alright!
I think that's the trouble, is that's such a delightful song and I really love it, but nothing we ever do fits.
Wait until we have the happy episode at Alignment Unknown goes to the fucking Albert Sanctuary again. Albert Daycare. I remember it, I wrote it months ago.
Oh my god, we'll be running the Albert
It's been destroyed!
But we won't know that it was there, because we weren't alive.
Thunder rolls over the hills of the north. What is usually an idyllic golden brown landscape over the autumn period has been blustered with hailstorms and the early arrival of winter. Perpetual rains fall over the land, making the warmth and cover of any type of shelter a welcome respite. Or respite. I don't know, I learned the word through reading. I'm sorry. Though not known to one another, the pair of you has a mutual acquaintance in the somewhat jovial and bouncy cleric you made the mistake of listening to one night in a local tavern. He was a 7'9" Firbolg, who, for those who don't know what Firbolgs are, most of D&D, the races are humans got freaky with a monster, which either explains... it's about to say something else then. That explains some of today's celebrities, or some of the races, such as Firbolgs, which are humans who have slept with giants. Whilst we're here, that means that half fairy dragons, knowing that they're these tiny little things, are half fairy dragons that have slept with humans. Ah, the joys of D&D.
Not this one.
It's like Twilight, but even worse. He's a 7'9" Firbolg.
For context, we're both about 3 foot.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we stood one on top of the other, we still wouldn't be the same size.
Yes, you'd get to his shoulder or something like that.
Yeah.
So you guys met him in a tavern where no one seemed to want to talk to him. He sat in the corner just trying to hawk this idea of the end of the world is coming. He was one of those guys. But you two, for some reason, went, yeah, I'll go listen to this.
I like your sales pitch.
He seemed to be ostracised by the patrons as he bumbled about some dawning of a new war, but for some reason one or two of the prophecies offered rang true to something in your own experiences. He told you that individuals meeting him would be meeting at the Crippled Hollow, an old mansion that are now ruins in the middle of the Mere of the Dead Men, which is on the cliff edge of the Sword Coast. It's just south of Phandalin and Neverwinter by about a day or two's ride, and just north of Waterdeep by about half a week's ride. And with that being said, as you find yourselves meeting the lovely Mr. Poe, as he's known, at the Mirror of the Dead Men, I'd like you both to roll initiative.
Oh, right. That's a great start.
Starting as we mean to go on.
Overturn.
I love that you celebrate that.
Have you got a new set of dice?
No. No, I'm just naturally unlucky.
I have noticed.
Poe has a +1.
There's no point switching dice with me.
I think you've given it to me. Like the last game.
Yeah.
Last game I didn't do very well.
So can I have the initiatives, please, for Skree?
6.
6, awesome. And for Serophina?
14.
14. Oh my god, you made it. No, you're not the highest. Oh, I thought you were going to be the highest then.
I'm going to die.
So, standing in the middle of this kind of stormy hillside, layers of snow starting to build up. There's a couple of centimetres on the ground. You can't really see the floor through it. But as you get to this kind of broken down shack in the middle of this wintry, infamously haunted mere or swamp area that just overlooks the Sword Sea to the west of you. You can see this Firbolg that you met in the tavern come out the doors, and just as he comes out the door, you hear this kind of weirdly booming noise just come out of nowhere as you turn back on yourselves to the tree line and see these hulking, huge hill giants just charging out of the tree line. As if something has scared them or has caused them to realise they need to come and protect the building. So, let's pop you guys in a bit of an idea over here.
Am I okay to move the equipment, please?
Where do you want to move it?
There.
That's fine, we'll move you over here.
I'll speak louder.
Be better. So we're going to say that the entire board is going to be...
the whole board?
The whole board is going to be
probably don't need
area for you. You guys are going to be back over this way by a shack like this. We're not showing this on the board because we're going to hopefully describe quite well what's going on, rather than, and you'll get to see the lovely faces as they die. As they fight. So you've got Poe is coming out of the door of the shack here. You guys would be walking towards. How far would you say you would have got to the
Depends how long we had before we got there.
Well, would you say you were
speed of 25?
25. Would you say you guys would have been quite speedy with your travel?
I don't think we'd have been running because we weren't expecting anything.
Okay, so that means you're a bit
average.
further away from I'd say that you guys are currently about 20 feet away from the building as you hear it, rather than right up as you've been basically trying to sprint towards it. Excuse the images that you're seeing on the DM screen there. Oh dear, I enjoy marzipan, as you heard. Anyway, and life. That's the excuse. So, we start at the top of the round as you see these hulking hill giants just charging out of the tree line about 40-50 feet behind you, about 20 feet apart from each other. They take up so much space. They look to be about 15 to 16 feet tall themselves, just come charging out, lumbering with this massive great club, swinging one hand and just charging. You just hear this kind of as it's just charging out. The first one is the first person in initiative. So, it's going to come charging this way. We've got a speed of 40. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. There.
Like basically right up behind you.
Right, yeah, it just comes
What's his melee reach?
Starts coming charging down the way towards the shack. Seeing these two little figures in the middle of... Hello?
Sit down.
I'm
they
sorry.
Can't see you.
Excuse me. Sorry, I'm trying to do this and this at the same time. Hi. Anyway, So this
Or
character.
just lean in front of the camera.
Hi. Can you see me now? Anyway, comes charging up behind you, Seraphine. It's about 5 feet behind you, as it just sees you're directly in front of it and swings out with its great club. That is going to be a 15 to hit.
I mean, I'm going to use my reaction.
Yeah, go for
and I'm going to create an image of myself. Basically, I create an illusion of myself in front of me.
Yeah.
It sparks up as the hit misses, and then the illusion disappears.
Okay, cool.
And I shoot.
So you basically caused the hit to miss regardless.
Yeah.
Lovely. So you just you turning around and seeing this, you kind of panic in place. It comes charging up, lifts this massive like tree trunk of a club round, swings for you. But as you kind of panic, you duck down, clap your hands together, and as you clap, this appearance of you still standing appears in your place. The club goes flying through the apparition. He just kind of looks down. As you got the blinks out of existence again, you're now looking up with your hands in kind of a prayer position, just looking up at this massive hill giant as it just stares down. It's got nothing on as you get closer. What you thought was armour is actually just chest hair and different like mounds of mud and stuff that seems to be stuck to its massive torso. It looks more of a ball than an actual humanoid figure, but manages to lift this massive arm out of nowhere. Right, its second attack.
Oh, bollocks.
Is that's going to be a 26 to hit.
Yeah.
Does it hit, Duck?
That does just scrape by me.
You take 15 points of bludgeoning damage as he kind of panics and not really knowing what to do, just brings the great club back again in a backhand and not giving it its full swing, but giving a bit of a bat down to test to see if you are actually there or if you're just an imaginary thing that he didn't know was there. Swings out and clobbers you in the side of the head with this great club like tree thing that he's got. You kind of hear last week's conversations ringing through your head again. That is his turn. That brings us to you, Kyra. Sorry, Seraphine.
I'm going to fucking Misty Step out of there.
Lovely.
I'm gonna go away, basically. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Actually, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I'm gonna go there.
Let's move the chair.
There we go. And
so you just come charging up towards the side of the shack, just where Poe is sticking out the door.
And with my main action, I'm going to cast Mage Armour upon myself.
Cool.
I ain't no fool.
Lovely. So you run up, you kind of panicking, place yourself back against the wall, you slam your hand into your chest as just a silky kind of arcane aura starts to spread across your shoulder and covers you entirely with this arcane energy that seems to be protecting you. Anything else for you?
Nope, I'm done.
Lovely. Comes to Poe, who is going to very not Caduceus Clay at all, looking at the stats. Anyway, just comes out and just looks around and goes, well, that weren't what I was expecting. Okay, you stay, and points at the hill giant that's just tried to hit, or just actually hit you, Seraphine, and casts a bit of suggestion on him. So he needs to do a wisdom save. Where have we got that? And fails. So he just kind of stops in the middle of stops in the middle of the field, just kind of staring at Poe, and just kind of does that weird dog thing where he just head cocks to one side, so he doesn't really know what's going on. Right, he's going to then come out. He kind of stoops down and out into the field, out through the doorway, and goes 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and just starts slowly kind of walking with this massive spear that you haven't seen him carry before. He has this really nice white wood pole. It seems to be stained or bleached into this like piercing white, and then at the top of it is this kind of regal silver spearhead that just sits. It seems to have this air of like snow blowing around it as well as he walks out. He just steps out, plants himself in front of the hill giant, and just takes a ready stance with the spear. That is his turn. That brings us to Skree. Let's see what happens now she's in a humanoid form.
I'm going to try and cast Suggestion.
You're also going to cast Suggestion.
Yes. But then it's got to be reasonable, so it probably won't work. I want to tell the one who's furthest away that I basically want to tell him to kill the other one.
Okay.
I can't think how I would say it.
I've literally just had it in front of me. Let me just find out how.
It's because it's got to be worded in a manner that makes the course of action sound reasonable.
Yes.
I think it's what she would just turn around and be like.
Concentration up to 8 hours. Yes. So yeah, you just need to give him in such a way that it would that it would be it wouldn't sound like something he wouldn't do naturally. So if you're looking to do like you want him to kill that guy, make a nature check for me, just because I don't want to turn down the offer to do this.
Oh, that is 22.
22, right. So, you know from your knowledge as a ranger that hill giants measure their power on how big they are. Like, they literally eat to get more powerful, apparently. And the more they eat, the more powerful they are, and therefore the king or queen of the hill giants would be the most satiated, if you will. So trying to think of the best way to put that towards the hill giant. You just kind of panic, go through your mind and go, he's claimed the cellar, or something like that. So we'll go with you casted it anyway. So
Thank you.
that helps?
Yes.
Nice. If you still want to go for that,
Yes.
cool. Wisdom saving throw from him. This time, he doesn't roll a natural one. Or that one doesn't. Wisdom is -1, so that's a 17.
Oh, yeah, no, he's fine.
Lovely.
I don't think she'd move. She just turns.
No?
She just turns
Just
around.
turns around,
and says
sees that
to
one
me.
in the back off in the distance, another 50 or so feet ago, again, still. Just shout it out to him. The one that's standing in place just kind of turns and looks at you now a bit more confused. I don't know. Remind me, does that do that? Can you get out of it? The spell ends if the companion damage the target of the spell ends. Oh, that's
Just
fine.
turn around and it's just like, if you eat him, you'll be the best.
Yes. There you go. But he just kind of bats it, bats it away. It's like, it's like a student after Sunday evening. That's what it sounds like, at least. Anyway, so that's Skree's turn. We get to that hill giant who just kind of confused starts to step forward as well, and is going to get in line with that one because of his same speed. And this time he kind of reaches down into the mud and just picks up a large chunk of earth and lobs it towards the shack. It just goes skyrocketing over your heads and slams into the first floor, or for the Americans, for the second floor? Ground floor first? I'm going to go with it's the first floor. That's how we talk it, yeah?
Yeah.
That,
That's great English.
Yeah.
So we talk it.
it's alright. We are all writers here. Anyway, I remind myself that every night as I go to bed, crying. Sorry, I paid the rent with exposure this month. Anyway, so he just picks up this large amount. Tasty exposure. It tastes like sin. Anyway, he picks up the large mound of earth and just lobs it at the first floor. It goes crashing into the wood, and you just hear the cracking of wood as it just passes through the wall and just boulders into the top floor. You get the sense that they may not be attacking you specifically, but the house in general for some reason.
Weird.
That brings us back to the top of the round with Hill Giant number 2, who is going to, again, being confused by the fact that this large thing has come out. Actually, knowing that, I'm going to say that would pass through suggestion, especially with a natural 20. notes for lore for yourself and for you two. The Firbolgs, although a offspring of humans and giants, are hated by giants because they are basically like the bastard child of their failures.
They are Jon Snow.
They are Jon Snow, only he's not as handsome.
Obviously.
I mean, how
Do they
dare
look
you?
as
Poe is
sad?
good looking.
They look
I
sad.
thought you were saying
Just
Jon
Firbolgs.
Snow. I thought you were saying Jon Snow. Just to mix it up.
Jon Snow is handsome. He is a very dapper young man, and the fact that he sleeps with his nephew in the show is very, very.
What?
Oh yeah, spoilers. It's in the books. It's been out for fucking years.
His niece, not his nephew. I was very confused. I was like, what did he?
Oh, you don't know about that bit. Sorry.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm so confused.
It's alright, they're all spoilers! And you don't know if I'm right or wrong. If you've watched, you know. Anyway. So, he's going to come up to just panic, getting angry through this, just sort of shakes his head, walks up directly into Poe's face, and just roars in his face. However, Poe just kind of stands very plainly. You can see, especially Skree, that he's just very relaxed. He looks quite kind of dazed.
That's why I'm with him.
He's very polite. This is fun. Anyway, he just swings. He swings down with the.
Neither of them are you.
Swings down with the Great Club twice. That first one is going to hit. That second one is going to just miss. Yes. So the first one, he swings down and just slams into the side of Poe, going for the opening where he's not really protecting himself with a spear. Slams into it, and you just hear the crunching again of wood against a large object as he just takes the blow and just kind of rocks with it, and then comes back to standing. As the second swing comes back, he goes to slam into the side of Poe again, but this time Poe just kind of pivots in the place, almost flashing with the speed of how he does it, but it just comes up into a handstand on the top of his spear, and then drops back down over the staff, the Hill Giants Great Club. Sorry, it's a good thing I have to talk right now. Hey, yeah, that's great. So he's going to take from the first hit 10, 16, 21 points of damage. Lovely. But that's his turn. That brings us to you, Serophina.
I'm gonna. God, I hope this works. We're gonna die. 25. Shift away from building if they're going for it.
Yep.
And then with Major Image, I'm gonna create an illusion that the place has like exploded. It's only an explosion by 20-foot cube, so it's not the entire place, but I want to make it look like the bit that hasn't been touched.
Okay.
There's been a massive explosion, so they like feel everything. They see the heat.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Do they need to do a save or anything else?
Creature that uses this action to examine an image can determine it's an illusion, so that suggests that they have to choose to check.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Okay, so they're just automatic. I think being quite dumb creatures, they just see this and immediately like, what? So you kind of step away. You kind of act it out a bit more as well. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is, if I can ask you to make a performance roll for me.
Yeah.
I'll give you advantage.
Okay. That is. You want to know what it is?
Kyra's advantage is, go on.
It's 8.
It's 8. Ooh.
With advantage, I have a
-1.
It's alright, natural 1 and 4. And they have a -1, so 0 and 3. So you kind of try to sell it a bit, where you just kind of start looking towards the building as if some noise is happening behind you, and you kind of slowly kind of back away to the side of the building a couple of feet away. The two hill giants kind of noticing you do this or watching you with a curious kind of, again, that dog fascination, whilst Poe is just kind of lazily just swaying back and forth, and Skree is just kind of standing ready with these two blades in a hand, and just out of nowhere, Skree as well, you'd probably at least experienced this, you just hear this kind of as the bottom floor just has lights suddenly flare out the windows. There's flying pieces of wood going everywhere. However, one or two of them come past you, kind of pass through you, you notice, but not far enough to hit the hill giants so they don't know. So that you recognise that this is an illusion of some sort. Then the two hill giants just kind of watch, and you sit in silence for a second as they're kind of watching it, and they just kind of roar with laughter and start slamming their hands together. Anything else? What, sorry?
Like seals.
Yes. This is where Steve gets to show his Foley work. Is there anything else for you, Serophine?
No, that's it. I'm good.
Lovely. That brings us back to Poe, who this time is not going to be too impressed with the hill giant in front of him, and just leans forward and goes book and casts banishment on him, which I believe needs a charisma saving throw or be banished. Charisma saving throw. He has a man of 2, so that loses. He just blinks out of existence, the hill giant in front of Poe. You two watching this shit, he just kind of he literally leans forward, and you even see him do it under his breath. He just goes pop, and as he pokes the giant in the belly, and he just blinks out of existence. So that's that hill giant gone for I believe a minute. Let me just remind.
Okay.
Keep it,
So just to be
because he'll return into that
Was
space.
he right up next to him?
You
Or
turn.
to the side?
That
There you
there you
go.
go.
There.
Like that.
Yeah.
There you go. Cool. If the target is native to the plane, you're on the banishment target to a harmless daring plane. While there, the target is incapacitated. The target remains there until the end of the spell, at which point it reappears in space. Cool. That's concentration for 1 minute, so it's currently there for 10 rounds. That's Poe's turn. No, Poe is then going to just lazily yawn and start walking 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I believe he has a speed of 30. Let me just double check that. He might have a bit more because he's a big boy. He has a speed of 30. That's lovely. That's his turn. That brings us to Skree.
She's gonna fly up because she's part dragon.
Yes,
Oh,
you've got wings.
Like to fly up and land on the dragon.
Cool.
And
What was your flying speed? Sorry.
40.
Yeah, you've got that easy. So
I'm
you
gonna
fly
fly
up.
up and I'm just gonna land on his shoulder
Yep.
and then just slash at him with my sickles.
Go for it. Roll for attacks. Do you, knowing what those sickles are, do you activate them first? Or?
Yes.
What is your command word, please? Knowing what they are.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
Sorry, to bonus action, you speak a command word to turn them off or on again.
Cool. In which case it's obviously Scream.
Scream out. You, Seraphine, you looking up see this little dragonborn kind of creature, just but looks too different to be a dragonborn. Just kind of sprouts these wings and she kind of ruffles her back, and these lovely kind of like butterfly-like wings come out of her back. She then
That makes it sound really cute.
well, that's what they are.
So cute.
If you look at the fairy dragon. Anyway,
It's like a
fairy.
tiny little cute anime creature, but then has really sharp teeth.
Yes,
And
it's
is very
it's-
bloodthirsty.
it's misnomer or whatever lady you want to call her. Anyway, misdemeanor is also a form of. You see her fly up, land on the shoulder of this giant, and then you just hear Skree bite, and flames just burst out the blades of these two sickles. Roll for your attacks. And could you give me a dexterity check just to see if you're doing all right with this?
Oh.
Just because you are on the shoulder of a giant.
Dexterity, that's 21.
Lovely. Yeah, you're no problem with this.
So that is unnatural 20 and 17.
Both hit. Roll for damage.
Yay!
They're
Right.
really big buggers. You're not going to miss them. You'd think.
And D6. I should have got these ready already. So that is. Oh my god, these are different to my other ones. 7 plus. Oh my god, Hannah.
Dexterity.
So 7 plus 8.
Yep.
Of the slashing.
Yep.
Plus.
So that's 15 plus.
Plus 8 more of fire.
Okay, so 23. Lovely.
Thanks.
Lovely. So you just kind of you flick the blades in your hands, shout "Skree bite!" The flames just start bursting out of the sickles, and you just swing through with a double hit. As we know in the game, quick explain. Dual-handed. We have agreed as a house rule that rather than a bonus action, the offhand is done in the attack. So
and also a 2-weapon fighter.
2-weapon fighter as well, which means you get to add your modifier
which means I also have it
to your offhand.
There we go.
Lovely.
In which case I also use my second attack.
Go for it. Roll for attack.
17 plus 8, so blocks, and 15 plus 8, so also blocks.
Yes and yes, both hit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was distracted by checking the chat whilst making sure you're doing things.
Yay.
Because we need to make sure the lovelies are loved too.
Yes.
Are you being loved, lovelies?
Love
Ed Spence is being loved. We love you, Ed Spence.
We love you, Ed Spence!
You're my favourite worst nightmare. And by that I mean the daydream. Yeah. Continue. Don't let my love get in the way.
Yeah,
10 slashing.
10 slashing plus 9 of fire.
9 to 5, 19 altogether. Lovely. So again, just taking an opening, you start carving into his neck. It's got almost like attacking some sort of like natural creature of like a Arctic area. So he's got like a layer of blubber around his neck that seems to take most of the brunt of those 4 hits. But you definitely see some blood starting to seep through as you just carve into the same spot 4 times. The flame kind of cauterizing the wound as you're cutting in. And yes, they do, Ms. Bamford. Everyone loves Ed Spence. Well done. You get a brownie point. Well done. Anyway, that'll be explained later when someone wins a car. Anyway, don't put me to that. Don't. Anyway, sorry, where were we? We've just done some damage. Anything else for you, Ms. Skree?
She's just, like, loving it.
She's
just grinning the whole time. But far more dexterous.
For some reason, looking like one of those chefs in a Chinese restaurant.
Yes!
Hey!
Korean barbecue.
In all fairness, when you noticed
Why am I suddenly Phil Collins? I don't understand.
I did kind of think.
Smells like talk.
But it's
Anyway.
like, it's still like, she's still getting a splatter or two, definitely.
Oh.
Right.
Hello, Wing Trucker as well. Hi, Wing Trucker.
Hey, Max!
That is Ms. Bex. Hello, Ms. Bex. Thank you for the ticket buy on the live show as well. Remember, bring your friends. Anyway, cool. Is that everything for you, Skree?
Yes.
Awesome. That brings us to that hill giant that is currently looking round his shoulder, trying to find David for some reason, which is a terrible reference. I apologise. He is going to try to bat you off with his club. So I'm going to ask you to give me a dexterity saving throw, and I'm also going to give him an attack with disadvantage to see if he can hit you.
24.
24. Okay. I'm going to ask you, in fairness, because obviously we're not doing this for fun. We're doing this more for fun than actual like. These are the rules of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You see a massive club coming to you. Do you stay or do you jump?
I jump.
Awesome.
I fly. I just fly up. Swing down and then I land back down again.
Which makes it so much more fun when that natural one smacks him in the side of the head.
Yeah! I'm not going to pretend that wasn't what I was hoping for.
So you kind of see him turn round. You're looking into these kind of weird beady black eyes. He just kind of looks almost cross-eyed at you as he's trying to focus on you with both eyes. And then he just swings the club round, and you just knowing what's coming, just swoop up with your wings, and just you hear this crunch underneath. And you're sure you hear a few teeth or at least a nose break.
Just like smiling the whole time.
6, 14, and then a 20, 21 plus 5 is 26 points of damage.
Yay.
Lovely. That brings us to back to the top of the round with the incapacitated hill giant who is currently in the land of Nod, as we will refer to it. Serophina.
Cool. Right. I'm currently holding the illusion.
Yep.
Can I do a cantrip? I can't remember. Is it?
Sorry, what?
Can I do kind of like just like an
Holding the
cantrip?
illusion.
Yeah.
You can cast any spell you want.
As long as it's not another concentration.
As long as it's not another concentration.
So I got confused
yes.
by that as well.
Yes.
It's only in it's only in a round that you can cast a spell, and then the other one can only be a bonus action cantrip at the moment, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I've cast
From level 8 upwards.
No, that's later on in the game. There's something else.
Okay.
The original ruling of spell casting is you can cast one spell as an action. The only one can be cast. You can only cast another spell if it's a bonus action and a cantrip.
Okay, so cantrip. That's fine then. In which case.
And a cantrip.
Oh, and a cantrip.
Yes.
In which case, I'm casting a cantrip anyway, so that's
Okay.
within the rules. Awesome. I am gonna do chill.
Lovely.
Very much on him.
Awesome. So you make a ranged spell attack. So kind of focusing your mind on this illusion, keeping it. You make the flames start to grow from the ground floor inside as well. It starts to give this kind of eerie glow coming out of the shack. You then bring your hand up and just squeeze your fist. Go for it.
21.
21 hits.
21, nothing.
Lovely.
What's happened to you?
Suddenly we have a competent player playing. I love you. You're great.
Don't judge me, judge the dice rolls, okay? That is 5, that is 10 necrotic.
10 necrotic damage. Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. So again, you squeeze your hand in this kind of almost aggressive, arcane control moment, and you just hear crunching as ice starts to spread from your hand, making this kind of spectral, skeletal hand, which just grabs around the throat of the hill giant and just chokes him for a moment. Excuse me, like that. Anyway, like I said, this episode has been brought to you by that shakeaway. It just squeezes. He kind of held in place for a moment as the ice hand just kind of throttles him, and it blinks out of existence. So he just drops forward a bit, catching his breath. Anything else for you?
I am good.
Cool. That brings us to that there Poe, who is going to. Let's save that for later or do that now? Save it for later. I've got a spell I like in this game. If you can spot it, well done. Anyway. So he brings the spear up this time and just takes it in two hands and just turns the bottom of the handle. And you notice that you specifically, Skree, as you're quite close up, you notice that there is this kind of almost imperceptible break in the wood. And as he turns it, the wood sign kind of starts to get this weird kind of smoke building around it, and it starts to have these kind of like ice tendrils running from the base up to the blade itself. And he just slams it forward, takes the bottom hand and just slams it forward into the belly of the hill giant. That will be very embarrassing if it mits. It just hits. You know, when you get that kind of, oh, I'm such a badass, look at me. And then you go, oh, look, I'm such a badass, fail is me. Anyway, he is going to deal a couple of bits of damage. He does 1d6, and rolls a 6, motherfucker, for 10 points of piercing and 2 points of ice or cold damage. So that is 12 points of damage altogether as he just slams the spear straight home into the stomach. You see it just pierce the blubber that is around his stomach and just sticks straight into his abdomen. Doesn't come back out. He just holds it there and grins. That brings us to Skree. Slashy. Roll for attacks. Skree back.
Oh.
If that's not a t-shirt at some point, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I haven't done it yet, but she's not been on the podcast yet, so.
She is now.
Yes, she is.
This prologue to the campaign too.
That's an 18 and a 10.
18 and a 10. The 18 hits, the 10 misses, unfortunately.
That's okay. I mean, it's not.
Failure. Don't be shit then. Continue.
6 slashing plus 5 of fire.
How do you want to do this?
I'd like to seeing where the necrotic has kind of all threaded up into his neck, she kind of cocks her head and she just slashes for one of those and it just opens vein and it's just like, oh. And she's just stood there like,
just.
She's exactly like that. Like she's at the fountain. Like she's at the water fountain.
I'd like to point out Serophina is mildly horrified.
Cool.
Turns out she don't like gore.
Cool. So that is him completely wasted.
Yay.
You have 8 rounds, so less than a minute to decide what you're going to do about this hill giant when it returns. Because if I remember rightly, I'll just double check this to make sure I'm not being an idiot. But I'm pretty sure once the this music, Kevin MacLeod's her.
I think it would be really funny if you guys just went inside and he bounced back and Skree's just stood on top of him looking like out of carry.
Yeah.
Just smiling sweetly.
Yes, he will be returning to an unoccupied space in the next few moments. So what would you guys like to do?
Same space.
It's an occupied space where closest to where he was. So
Yeah,
as
so
there's
it will
nothing
be
there,
there.
he will return back to that spot.
Yeah.
So
Skree that giant's just fallen down and Skree just kind of floated up a little bit. So he falls and she just lands down back on top of it. And
oh,
just
that's graceful.
What do you do, Seraphine?
I'm gonna, dropping the
Illusion?
illusion, I'm gonna cast Cloud Kill.
Cloud kill?
In the area, avoiding everybody,
Okay.
but in the area
Okay.
where he's going to appear.
Awesome. What does Cloud Kill do? Now.
It is basically a 20-foot radius sphere of poisonous yellow gas. It's heavily obscured and it floated, I think it's 10 feet away from me.
Yeah.
For each turn. The creature inside takes 5d8 poison damage on a failed Constitution save or half as much on a successful one.
Okay, so you cast a Cloud Kill just there. Yeah. Poe pulls his staff back out and just flicks the blade, the end of the staff back to normal, and just looks at you.
Faster. I forgot about my Colossus Slayer.
Turns back to you and goes, "Cool. So what are we doing? Sorry."
Waiting for a little bit. You can get a drink if you want.
And just kind of stands leaning on the spear, just watching where the space was. And goes, "I could probably make it a bit quicker if you wanted."
I mean, if you can hold your breath, you can go when he comes back and give him a few stabs.
Skree's just stood smiling, looking back and forth between the two of you like a tennis match.
I'm gonna just drop the concentration if you don't mind.
What concentration?
So I'm currently holding him in a place where he is, with the power of my mind.
Okay, bring him back.
I mean, I will if you like.
Yes,
What's the radius of Cloud Kill?
Yeah, what was the radius of Cloud Kill?
Just because you've done Cloud Kill and I'm going to go and...
Yeah, some of us
basically,
are
I'm just
melee
gonna-
range. Melee range.
Melee.
So basically, it's 20-foot sphere, but it's avoiding you two.
Well,
Okay, so centered from...
7 from that one.
so they're 15 feet wide.
What, 20
so if you
foot
just,
radius or 20 foot?
20-foot radius sphere.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
So,
So if you place it 5 feet behind him,
yeah.
then that'll make it a space that will be good. That makes sense. Lovely, awesome fish.
I mean, you've ruined my life.
Oh God, isn't it
Sorry.
just
I'm so sorry, guys.
just
I don't like gore. I just found out.
terrible? Anyway, you will not be getting a car or free dice whilst I saw that comment. I want free dice. Anyway, I'm the damn DM. Anyway, as Poe just kind of yawns and then sneezes, and as he sneezes, the hill giant just lands on his ass in the middle of that Cloud Kill. We need a Constitution save for you, and I'm going to say you have a bonus, surprise round on him. That is Constitution 6.
6. Oh, yeah. He fucked.
Go for it.
Alright, so it's 5. That's not D8. D8. Considering I thought about this, I should have really planned this. So it's 7, 8, 15, 16, 20, poison damage.
20 poison damage. Lovely. Cool. You bring your hand up, kind of imagining the most weirdest fog you can, just as the hill giant appears, and there's just kind of this weird ethereal kind of. It's a bit like that typical hammer horror kind of stage mist that just appears in that smog area, and you see him just land, and he comes up kind of staring around, not really knowing what to do, and just drops back for a second, and then comes back up trying to look around to see what's going on. So that's your damage there.
Yeah.
And then we've got a surprise round, so everyone gets a turn on him. What are you doing with your turn, just quickly?
Well, it's a concentration one.
Yep.
So creature takes.
I will not shush, Ms. Bamford. Please stop leaving inappropriate comments.
So when a creature enters the spell area for the first time or starts its turn there, so
Yep.
damage would go back again when it starts its
Okay.
turn in it.
Cool, awesome. So what do you want to do in that?
Your surprise round. So
round,
you've got another
essentially.
thing that you can do. Because you cast it before we got there.
Good.
You just sit there kind of
nothing.
grinning,
Just chilling.
watching him sit in the middle of this thing. Cool. Skree, what would you like to do in this moment?
Skree would bite.
Skree
so
would bite.
she's going into the cloud.
Cool, so you start flying over towards the
I'm sorry.
creature. So you need a constitution save, don't you, Ms.
I got a 3.
3. So
I
you
rolled
fail.
well. 7, 8. Is that a 7 or a 1? That's 7, 8. That's 16 plus 5 is 25.
Rude.
25 points of
Sorry.
damage.
It's poisoning.
You just fly over, you get into the mist, and you start getting this weird kind of marmite taste on your tongue. Anyway. Skree still gets the bite.
I mean, it's thick yellow gas. I'm just saying.
Oh no, I've got a scratch on my dice.
Roll for attack.
I have! I rolled a 16 and a 13.
16 and 13?
And it's plus 8.
Both hit. Roll for a damage.
Damage. So I get, because I've got Colossus Slayer,
Yep.
I get an extra 1d8 on
Awesome.
a hit once per turn.
Okay, so add 1d8 to that
So
roll,
I'll
I
add
guess.
1d8 to this one. If there was a red tree. So, 13 slashing.
13 slashing.
Plus 12 fire and an additional 3
25.
of badass.
25, 28 altogether. Lovely. And according to the chat, Skree bite may be a new phrase that people will be shouting. Thank you, Ms. Trucker. Anyway. Skree bite.
Attack number 2, please.
Attack number 2, please. Go for it.
Natural 20.
Motherfucker.
And an 18.
Both hit.
plus 8. So
Uh,
not the d8.
Not the d8. Go for
But
it.
the
Roll for
other
attack.
ones. So it was the yellow that I rolled a natural 20 on.
Cool.
So the yellow is 6. So 10 slashing. Do I also double the fire one? I don't.
Yes.
Do I?
All
Or
dice
do-
rolled.
Yay!
Within reason.
Yes. So that's what I say. So that's 10 slashing and 12 fire.
Yep. So 22.
Plus 9 slashing. No.
31.
No, that's a lie. 5 slashing
22, 27.
and 5 fire.
27, then 32. Lovely. How do you want to do this?
I'm going to take his head off.
So you fly over with that first initial attack, and you're kind of getting that weird taste of marmite in your mouth, and you just start swinging away, and it might just be the anger from that weird taste in your mouth. It might be the excitement of the blood that just covers you in a minute.
She's full on
Yeah.
carried. She's loving it.
And you just start swinging away, almost like it's almost like watching someone working on a speedball. There's not a lot of effort to and that as you go through the blades like this and just cut through. And you're sure that it shouldn't be like a hot knife through butter, but you get the head clean off.
Please tell me the head just like boom, up above the cloud.
And then
Fine, we'll do
I
that.
think as he goes down, she's kind of like a dog that really likes the shower.
Cool. So you cut the head off. You go as the head just goes. Flies off in some sort of weird shuttle spaceship fashion as a Houston, we have detachment.
And then Skree's my new backup character, guys.
And then you just, for some reason, you can hear this kind of weird gurgling, like water at the bottom of the drain. So you look down the neck of the hill giant, just as this torrent of water comes, or water blood comes flying out the neck. Poe is just sat watching with his spear.
This is the best position.
I don't rightly understand what's going on, but I mean, whatever gets you kicks, I guess. And that is the round.
I love that for a second I thought she was too neutral, and she's not. She's chaotic neutral. I made the right decision the first time around.
Go with your gut, or break into someone else's.
Talking of guts, I'm going to be puking.
Lovely. You just start throwing up, Serophina. This is the first major battle you seem to have got into. A lot of your magic has been learnt through just homeschooling and such like that. And you've never actually built the experience of. Yeah, you've worked on your wizarding skills through clean environments and none of this nasty, muddy, just out in the wilderness. I don't know what I'm doing here.
They're going to do it cleanly. I don't have any cleaners anymore.
Poe just kind of.
We don't have. In my head I went, Brandis will do prestidigitation. He is not me.
He really is,
Poe just kind of reaches into one of his satchels on the side of his belt and just pulls out a long pipe that is too long to have fitted in that pouch, and then just places it in his mouth and goes, right, I won't be lighting this because I'm trying to quit. I just wanted it there for the comfort, if I'm honest with you. Thank you for coming. What are we doing now?
You asked us to come here. We came.
Oh, right. You're,
stupid?
Are you the ones here to talk about our monitor, or? Because I've already got God, if I'm honest with you.
What?
I'm not looking for another one. Are you?
I'm not a god.
No, you're trying to sell God. You know, one of those people who walk around, knock on the door and say, "Have you got a moment to talk about love?"
I just want to sell glassware.
Ah, glassware. I don't need any glassware either,
Sure,
if I'm honest with you. I can make this twinkle, and he touches the end of his spear, and it just lights up in this weird kind of Christmas tree fashion.
Skree's like go really wide.
It kind of lights up in like the reds and greens of Christmas lights. Anyway,
I think she's gonna fly up too close to it.
Watch yourself.
Just
yeah, you just go right up close to it. You know? Watch yourself. It gets quite sharp every now and then, and you might fall over with it. Anyway, enough of this. What are you doing here again?
You asked us to come here.
Ah, right. Okay. I can't remember if I'm meant to be Southern or if I'm meant to be Irish, but the accent keeps slipping. So I'm going to go in between the two for the character, because it seems to fit. Anyway.
Steve Archer, offending as many people as possible with one accent.
Why RP when you can just fuck everything? I could have played Bard at some point. Mercury was just the start.
No Mercury.
Wait till I make Frank, who's just really into transgender stuff. How do you do it? Superman. Anyway, Faithful Bigby's hand. Anyway. That was perfect.
Oh,
Give
Jesus,
me a second.
No!
So Poe just kind of sits down in like a cross-legged motion. He just kind of coughs a little bit. He goes, right, well, if I'm honest with you, I think we'd probably rest down for a bit. If that was quite a fight, weren't it? Would anyone like a sleep?
I'd like you to explain
All
what
right.
we're doing here, and then we can do the sleep, and then
Okay,
it'll be
I
good.
think it's probably best that we sleep before we go on the next part of our journey.
What's that? And why are we going with you?
What time of day is it?
So it's currently night time.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
So it's getting to like a sun setting in the background.
Just arrived, but
Sorry.
no, yeah, if it's actually
sun setting in the background. It's in that kind of
DM
like.
saying we need all our hit points back.
Yeah, it's the DM saying get ready for Phantom 2.
Oh no, I found this first aid kit.
Oh no, I found this first aid kit and a load of health potions and this overpowered gun that I don't need right now. Oh. It says Matt Mercer was here. Anyway, he just sits down and he goes, anyone? It's fine, I'll do this one then, I guess. And he goes into his little satchel again in his pocket and starts pulling little logs out and places them in front of him. And then he gets his staff and he just turns the end of the staff, the spear turns the end of the staff once more, and just like a small blue flame appears on the end of the staff and just lights the logs that he puts in front of him. And he places the spear in the ground just as like a standing pole, and he sits there and goes, if you'd like to join me, I think we can discuss what I'd like to do.
Skree walks up and she kind of watches the pole as she walks past in a very interesting way, but then sits down.
Hello, you sitting down there, Serophina?
Kind of
crouch. Serophina? What was your name?
Serophina.
Lovely, Serophina.
There you go.
Sorry, it was a. What are you doing here again?
Oh Jesus, seriously.
Yeah. Are you here to talk about gods?
No, not here about gods. Okay. I'm here because you asked me here, and we're sitting down. You're going to tell us what's going on, and then we're going to have a sleep, and then I'm going to decide.
You two were very tall the last time I saw you, and you're now really, really short.
Never seen. No,
we met in a tavern, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
But that's a really cliche start of a game, so the DM changed it round.
Right. Why are we here?
Okay, now we're all sitting comfortably. Let me explain myself. You may have understood the other day, as I was in the middle of my cups, that I what are we doing again? Oh yeah, we are right. So cute. Anyway.
I'm so seen.
Did someone send that email? I can't remember. Anyway. Essentially, I've been trying to warn people, but nobody seems to want to listen. We've got a problem at the moment where, have you noticed, and you both have noticed this in the area, especially you, Skree, as a ranger, that there's been a lot of giant activity in the area. And that people just seem to be generally a little bit not so well to do anymore. They don't want to give you the time of day or the crust from their pie or anything.
They do like to destroy taverns, as we've noticed. So that's going to put a bit of a
Oh, this isn't a tavern. He points at the ruins behind him. This is just a meeting location. So we had some sort of accord at the end of the conversation. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, so
giants, bad economy.
Yeah, giants, bad economy. So a couple of years ago, you might know this, you might not. There was this fancy old wizard, and I can't remember his name, but he made these fancy things. That's why he's a fancy wizard. He can make fancy things.
We wizards do tend to be quite fancy.
Oh, you're a wizard as well. That's lovely. So you'll know all about this making of stuff and all that. Anyway,
I'd like to add a little bit of sparkle to my
coffee. You add a bit of sparkle.
Skree's just sat there, kind of licking her lips as the blood keeps dripping down. And just
So, like I says, Sorry, I forgot where I. Yeah, there we go. This giant made these. This wizard made these things for the giants, and they were these fancy balls. Mm-hmm. They're each a different colour, and they're very fancy. And they essentially gave the giants the power to lock the chromatic dragons in areas of the Faerun. Nice. The reds were controlled by the red orb. The blues were controlled by the blue orb.
Really?
The greens were controlled by the green orb. The whites were controlled by...
a white orc?
You know about it. You're a wizard, obviously. Right. So, and then the black one was controlled by the black one. Yarp. And then there was a fancy one that helped control all of them at the same time. But they weren't to hurt the dragons. That one that were made this weird coppery, gold kind of silver kind of thing. And
one ball to rule them all. Poe?
Yar. Yar.
Stop thinking about the imaginary ball.
Oh, it's very powerful. I don't want to drop it, is the only thing. Oh, it's not there, isn't it? Sorry, I forget.
No.
Anyway, the ball was given to the king of the giants, the Storm King himself, Mr. King Hecaton, and he was to control the powers and all that by stopping all these dragons flying around, and it stopped the war between the giants and the dragons, and everyone lived in a little more peace for a bit until some other bastard came along and ruined it for everyone. I can't remember which one that was, if I'm honest with you. I think it might have been a drow. Anyway, I've been doing some reading and doing some writing and doing some walking and doing some thinking and doing a lot of other things. There has been a lot of smoking in between those things. I'm sure you've been
very busy.
I can suggest, if you're ever in Baldur's Gate, to try the hot pot.
What's your conclusion?
I found that the hot pot was really nice.
No, not about
that. Bit too salty.
No.
But the beef was just melting your mouth.
You should have pork meat.
Advantage.
It tasted like beef and a bit lammy.
Anyway, sorry, you meant about the balls.
But it's been said,
it's put down.
I've written it down.
It's for fun, you see. We like to do this for fun. Anyway.
I'm gonna stab you all.
Sorry, you're a wizard. You're only good with daggers, and I've got an AC of something.
See, I know why your accent's wandering, because now you just sound like Hagrid.
It's almost like he's been inspired by certain characters, eh?
Okay, so
she's
ball.
not Harry.
Ball.
Shouldn't have said that. Ball. Football. Quaffle.
No. The ball that was given to the king.
King.
You came up with a conclusion about why this ball affects the
right.
activity.
That's why I'm here. Right.
There we
so
go. We'll get there. Come on.
Essentially, I got this reading, and I did some stuff, and I worked out that essentially that the reason the giants have been playing up is they follow this thing called the Ordnan. The
What is that?
ORDNING. Ordnan.
Ordning.
Yes.
There you go.
And they all listen. So the giants all have their own lord they look after, but the lords all answer to Hecaton, who's the king, and he lives in the water over that way. He points to the sea that's spreading off to the west. And you're struggling to see a little bit now. It's only through the firelight that's around you that you can make out the shapes of the buildings around you and stuff like that. He goes, right. Yeah, so I'm suggesting that because the giants are messing around, that something seems to be going a bit wrong. That makes sense?
Yes.
Cool. So I'm suggesting that the king might need to be chatted with, because I think if the giants are playing up, then we might have the dragons playing up. And you know what happens when the dragons play up? You just get a messy carpet.
I've heard things
I'm really
about
dragons. I changed my favourite enemy from giants. That's what it was when I made her first.
Oh dear.
And I changed it, and then I went, oh, that doesn't make sense.
Okay, so you've got two random people from a tavern when you're piss drunk lying on the floor, and you're asking us to come with you to speak to a king who's also a fucking giant, bearing in mind we're kind of 3 foot.
Oh yeah, I noticed you were a lot shorter than I remember you being, but
you were on the floor when you met us.
You answered the call.
I answered. I don't know what I fucking answered. I'd had a bit of wine myself. Oh Jesus! Right. Okay. So.
Maybe.
You think this is a good idea?
Did this stir something in your loins, Mrs. Serophina? Did you get a calling that you needed to answer?
I really need to puke.
Well, what I'm suggesting is there's a travel destination down south, and he starts pointing down into the ground at this point. There's a travel destination down south.
Yeah.
And I suggest we go down there, we speak to one of those storm lords that live down there, and he'll be able to put us in contact with that King Ekaton, won't he? And he'll be able to tell us, what's the big problem.
Right, what's the chances we're gonna die?
I mean, I'm a cleric and I can do healing things. And he just leans forward and puts his finger on your nose. You get this really nice warm feeling run from your nose over your head, like someone's just running their fingers over your forehead and then up into your hair and just scratching and giving it a zhuzh at the back.
Oh.
And he just goes, that's from my giant lord, if you'd like to take my healing.
I think...
That's
I don't want to answer that!
No, it's not.
I don't want to answer that!
No, Serophina, it's not an advance, it's a heal. I'm not a bard, I'm a cleric. I don't try to sleep with everything that moves. I just try to sleep whilst things move.
We had some locals and the randiest motherfuckers on this earth.
What? Monks? Monks are... Oh. I don't really like to stereotype, and I don't like to suggest that some people are very like this and very like that. But if you're gonna be a roguish archetype, you might as well be a rogue. Does that... I'm not trying to no. Anywho, what are you doing here again?
We're going to go to sleep.
Awesome. That's
Okay.
I like sleep.
Go
Sleep
to
works.
sleep.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
So, you're... who?
Skree.
That's an interesting name. You're very interesting, aren't you? I don't think I've seen one of you before. Fucking hell. I'm Serophina.
Hi.
Are you going with them?
Sure.
No, I'm not there.
Sleep.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go to this side of the fire, away from slashing and drugs. Night, guys!
Bumblebee tuna. As he's sleeping with his eyes open, just sat in place, he's just dropped
Jesus,
to sleep.
It's like... Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, the things you learn about your character when you actually start playing them. Wasn't expecting any of that. I wasn't expecting any of that.
I was convinced she would talk more now she was humanoid, but apparently not.
I was very under the impression that Poe was going to be like a stone cold badass, and I was like, no. No, my friend, you have created a god. You don't play with fire. Anyway, right, so you guys go to sleep.
Yep.
You do a snooze.
Snooze.
You do a snooze. So we're going to use that as a quick 15-minute break, so people can use the loo, so people can get drinks, so I can remember what I'm meant to be doing with the rest of this game, because I haven't looked at the sheet the entire time. Anyway, and we'll be back in 15 minutes for you to come and see what happens in the second half. We're hoping you're enjoying. We're hoping it's working. Anyway, yeah, bye-bye. Back in a second. You'll listen to the great music of Mr. What's his name again? Kevin MacLeod.
I had Kevin Brenner in my head,
Turn
and I
into
was
the
like,
character.
you definitely did do it.
Kenneth Branagh.
It wasn't even Kenneth Branagh, it was Kevin Branagh. Is that like his shit cousin or something?
Well, I never.
He sells music for free.
I'm gonna do a slow fade so I don't get told off for the quality of the fade out. It's not playing. I'm really shit at this. Help.
Oh.
No.
What?
sessions.
And we're back.
Hi! My necklace is made of lava.
One more bit.
What?
It's from Ace Ventura. Anyway. That's me with the chat stream, I think.
It better be the chat stream, Steve.
Right off, Steve. Honestly.
How will I finish?
What? Oh, Jesus! Right, guys, if you're on chat.
Podcast has been cancelled. The live stream has been cancelled.
I need to get rid of.
Steve is now in prison.
This isn't live anymore. This is just a video of me.
The reason he has to have his own screen is because he's live streaming from prison.
Just here, you can see Stan, who is my prison warden. He is a massive Pathfinder nerd, so
that's how we're getting away with it.
He doesn't appreciate the live stream, but he at least likes the dice.
Oh my god!
And we have both agreed as a Pathfinder and a D&D nerd that none of us are as bad as you Warhammer freaks.
It hurts me every time.
Actually, I do know a guy who does Warhammer, and he does it very well.
I really like Warhammer lore, I just don't like the live play. That's just me. I've said it. Fine. The Chaos Lords are cool, but at the same time, do I need to spend 6 hours painting one? No. Oh, I'll roll 66 to see if I can move this pawn one space. Just play chess!
I saw the film. I like the wizards. That was it. Really
Speaking of films, have you seen the Dungeons and Dragons? No.
I really want to.
This is not that podcast.
It's cool.
Moving on, people!
Adam and Steve's double feature will be returning soon as a live stream. As me and Adam just get drunk, and Adam gets high.
That happened one time.
He turns around and goes, Steve, you talk. I'm like, cool, this episode is definitely going to be talking about the music of the episode. Because, anyway, so, coming back into the game. You guys have been sleeping in the shrine, the ruins, depends on your outlook on life, I guess. You have been sleeping in the ruins of the Creeping Hollow, or Crippled Hollow. It's the lone standing building on the Mere of the Dead Men, which is a once famous battlefield that now is just a no-go zone for most ordinary folk that don't want to mess around with all this and that. You have met Poe, the cleric, who has Hagrid'd his way through his exposition. Anyway, and you've been informed that the dragons and the giants may be coming up to another war again that hasn't been seen for a good 600-700 years. That will be the opening of episode 1 of campaign 2. Anyway, so this is a prologue episode. Take notes. I didn't. I just wrote some things like, wouldn't it be funny if a dugong and a unicorn had a baby? It would just be... Anyway.
It'd be really cuddly.
I was waiting for a really bad dad joke punchline, but via nerddom and...
Like everything I do.
And somehow I'm disappointed, but I also know that I would be more disappointed if you'd actually delivered the punchline. So, thank you.
You're just
You're trying to think of one now.
No, I'm not thinking of one. I'm just remembering that token I got recently of 6 months no dad jokes, and I was just like, sobriety is a painful drug. Anyway.
You haven't had a day fucking sober then. Fucking wow.
Never really did like Serophina. I might as well get rid of that character now.
You didn't touch Serophina. I like her.
Hey.
It's a wonderful day. Yay.
What I was about to do was a very old 90s music joke, so I'm glad you stopped me.
With a different one.
Yes. Yes, I know. It just meant that I'm not ashamed of myself. I'm ashamed of you. Anyway,
I was just really proud I was that quick.
Waking the next morning, you kind of awkwardly stumble around your morning routines, Poe just kind of explains that he's not really sure how to go about this, so he's just going to go with the brash and forward approach, which seems to be a character trait of all of Archer's. Who wrote this? Anyway, so we're going to have a bit of reading again. Here we go. And this is from this is from John 3:20, or from Steve at 2:30 this afternoon. Anyway, heading down into the trapdoor, you find the bottom of a rope ladder ending in a tight corridor with a steep gradient leading down. With a gentle tap of his hand, Poe's spearhead starts to glow once again with that cold light blue flickered with different lights, like Christmas lights. Though a bit of a struggle, you manage to keep your footing as you follow the corridor down and round into the earth. And about an hour and a half of walking later, you sense you've travelled at least 2 miles into the surface, or under the surface of the earth, which makes the sight that appears before you that more impressive. Coming to a large opening in the rock wall, you stand on a natural balcony about 100 foot above the cavern's floor. A purplish blue glow hangs in the air, emanating from the large structure that sits in the middle of the cavern, or what at least looks like a cavern. Looking like a gigantic beach jellyfish, a small collection of buildings can be seen through the membrane. As you spend time staring further, you realise the opening is actually looking out onto the ocean floor. Somehow this window is holding water from flooding the corridor, and somehow you have travelled an enormous amount of distance in what felt like a shorter amount of time than should have been. You continue round the corridor for another 15-20 minutes before hearing the distant sound of metal against metal. Though it doesn't sound like a war-type metal, it sounds like that kind of rhythmic kind of pounding of a hammer against an anvil. And it rings true as you come through the corridor opening into a smaller cavern that seems to have this brilliant orange glow, and 2 dwarves with kind of darkish skin, blonde hair tied up into braided pigtails at the back, massive kind of mustaches with short beards underneath coming down into 2 braids as well, swinging away at this large forge that covers the eastern side of this cavern. What would you like to do?
Skree fought the urge to poke the giant membrane thing. As soon as you said that, I was
so
like,
far away. There's a couple of 100 feet between you and the.
She totally went.
Is there? Bearing in mind, I'm the daughter of a glassblower who's very good, and they probably would have got most of their ingredients for the glass from dwarves.
Yeah.
Is there anything I can see that identifies them? Are they like particular?
Make just a general intelligence check for me.
That is 22.
22, lovely. You look around, you recognise immediately this sign of it's a glass, kind of almost like a crystal ball, but not this. You know the crystal maze crystals?
Yes.
Imagine that, but it's of a weirdly, it's a purple with hints of orange flecking it. Some would say octarine or octarine. I can't remember the name. Octarine, thank you. Which has totally not been influencing the world recently. But yes, it has this octarine kind of purple hue to it. You recognise it to be the Codex's logo, the Codex of Time and Space, which is the aforementioned library that most people in the cosmos thereafter have heard of, as they are the bards and artificers and chroniclers that seem to dictate what medicines can be placed on most of humanity's or most of the free folks' ailments.
Is there one standing chilling?
So they're both kind of just swinging away at anvils. They're both back to each other. They seem to. You get a sense as you're looking at them a bit more closely now that they have this kind of They're not being aggressive with one another, but the air in the room feels like a couple that have recently had an argument.
Oh, I don't want to go into that. don't want to send Poe into that either.
You notice that the box is just kind of strewn across the left side of the cavern is just completely empty, but they've made this kind of like opening in the floor to make a makeshift kiln kind of furnace area. You get the sense that it's an arcane fire going there, and they've got their own workstation set up back to back.
Skree's going to walk up to the closest one and just kind of like, I imagine she's probably about the same height as the bench. She's going to kind of peer over and just look up to them. What are you making?
Oh, hello. I'm making I don't quite remember. I was making something.
Are you okay? I look at the bench and see if I can see.
Yeah, you look up and he's just it's just a straight piece of metal that's glowing orange still, but he's just swinging at it and it just seems to be flattening it out. He's not doing anything that looks like a blade. He's not making anything that looks like any tool you've seen. It just seems to be he's flattening out a piece of metal. As this conversation is happening, you shout, "Are you okay?" The other dwarf who's got his back to you as you're talking just turns around and goes, No, we promised that we would not be talking to people whilst we were doing this. As he kind of looks at the pair of you and turns to Poe, kind of looks away with a bit of a kind of trying to ostentatious kind of no thank you, not really into that. And then kind of walks and specifically talks to the dwarf in front of him rather than acknowledging you two as he's saying this. He's going, no, we said that we would not be doing this. No.
I'm gonna cast Detect Magic.
Okay, go for it. Cool.
I sense the presence of magic within 30 feet of me. If you sense any magic...
Kyra, not Serophina, but have you ever put some headphones on and pressed play but the music has been up on full and you weren't expecting it?
Oh, have I just done that to everybody?
You get that sensation as you kind of... It's almost like flicking the switch
everywhere.
on. Magic is pulsing from this kind of this makeshift kind of blacksmiths they've created. The fire is just throbbing with arcane energy. There is arcane energy coming from behind you where that window into the seafloor was. It's just everywhere around you, and it's just you kind of have a moment of almost having a panic attack as everything just starts batting you. You just panic, let go of the spell, and it drops off, and you just kind of a bit of a hangover from that, but you manage to just keep it cool.
That's beautiful. Did I learn what school of magic it was, if any?
You get the sense that there is... you're not too sure the school itself because there's a mixture of different schools, but you get the sense that they're making stuff... they're making stuff that is revolving around planar travel. They're playing with time magics, and they are playing with just basic kind of entrapment spells.
Okay. Poe? Skree?
Yes.
Do you want to just come towards me?
Right, I don't see that.
Yeah, just come. Yeah.
Potter over.
Okay.
It's
Hello.
the...
Did I forget to do breakfast this morning, or?
I don't know. I left you to it.
Oh.
I'm not feeding you. I'm not your mother.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I didn't think you were my mother because my mother's dead. If I'm honest with you, she died a long time ago.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
Oh,
but...
don't worry. It was a very nice ceremony they had.
Oh, that's nice.
They had a bard and he sang for a while.
That's lovely.
And then my father did a reading before they hung him for the crime of killing her. And it were right,
Sounds very individual.
right, yeah, that's a word I'd call it. I mean, most people say it sounds quite morbid. But
People have opinions.
people have opinions, and
True.
as we all know, you have a raven that has 14 pinion feathers and a crow that has 13. So the difference between a raven and a crow is a matter of opinion.
I need this pencil, I can't break it. Okay.
Have you seen my henway round here?
Right, can you two just stay over there? Stay quiet.
Okay.
They're doing difficult stuff.
Sorry, I cast silence, and he slams his hand together, and the ball around him just can't.
That's good. Right. I walk up to the dwarfs, stay a safe distance away. What were you doing? Good. Right. Okay.
How big's the wall of silence?
How close would you say you were stood next to him?
Well, we walked up to you, so probably quite close.
So yeah, you two are both in the ball of silence together as she walks back over to the...
I've never been so happy. So, can you remind... You look like to warn dwarf.
Okay,
We still hear her.
Yeah, you can hear, it's just there's no... the noise in this area is cancelled, so if you make noise... Actually no, I'd say that because noise enters that area, so noise travelling to it in that ball is currently quiet. As he...
So I can't hear you, you can't hear me, we can't hear her.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
to one dwarf.
yeah, you come up to the one who seems to be a bit more talkative and a bit more kind of with it, the more Germanic.
I think your friend needs to know more about how what you're doing. Can you explain it to him again, please?
Lemmy does not need explaining to. Lemmy knows exactly what he is doing. He just does not pass information unless he needs to.
Well...
Do not make me ask for your papers.
I pass... Fuck you.
Yes?
I pass him my introductory letter from the guild.
From what guild?
Blessmo's Guild?
Cool. He takes it and goes, "Ah, you're a glass blower. That explains why you're talking so much hot air," and hands it back to you. "I am a member of the Codex, as you can see from my lovely sign. Let me show you my introductory."
That's really beautiful.
Let me show you my introductory. And he takes a small letter from his pouch and hands it to you.
What's it say?
It reads, Dr. Ziggy Emerald, chronicler for the Codex. What's the matter? These characters are fleshed out and lovely. And not all different personalities in Steve's mind.
That's Ziggy. Dr. Ziggy, sorry.
Thank you.
Chronicler Dr. Ziggy?
Just Dr. Ziggy or
Dr.
Ziggy. I like Ziggy. Ziggy is good. Ziggy is fine.
Brilliant. What are you doing here? I mean, we're passing through, and I don't want to do anything that would harm this or you, or us for that matter.
Has someone cast a silence spell around
Yeah,
here? It reeks of the, how you say,
happiness?
for want of a better word, probably, yes. He just clicks his fingers, and you now Skree can hear again. As
But also it means that you suddenly go,
Jesus!
because she was
Well, I regret wasting
Yeah,
a spell
that's
slot
what I
on
said.
that now, I guess.
That
That were right. Dwarves have never really been my forte.
Poe,
Yeah.
which way do we need to go?
We need to go see King Hekaton, so we need to go find ourselves a Stormlord, who will have a certain device that allow us to go into Maelstrom, which is what he calls his homeland or his dominion. He lives in a whirlpool in the middle of the ocean.
Cool. Does
or
it have
something.
anything to do with passing into that watery land over there?
I'd imagine if you were going like as the crow flies, that's the water, which would be the sea. So I'd travel that way somewhere to that there whirlpool in the middle of the ocean.
Back to the dwarf.
That's why we're suggesting. Sorry, I see you're about to talk the dwarven one again, but
Yeah.
that's why I'm suggesting if we find ourselves a Stormlord, he'll have one of those there items that will, you touch it and you will say a magic word like "iggity bobbity boo" or something like that, and you will transfer yourselves to that place like
So
magic.
why are we here?
Because there's meant to be some sort of access to some sort of Stormlord down here. Apparently, according to my readings and my research that I were there doing.
Thank you.
I think, you know, that big jellyfish thing?
Yes.
I think that might be one of those things that they call a strongholdy.
So we need to go into it.
I mean, I don't know how we're going to get over there, but...
We go into it.
I mean, if you know how...
We'll just go through it.
I think if we chat with these dwarven lot, they might be able to talk to us because they seem a bit more clued up on the magic of the world.
Just a bit.
I can do this, and he clicks his fingers, and a small flame appears in his palm of his hand, and he's like, that one there is a cantrip though, so it's not going to be that much of a use, don't think. It's going to be at least a level 5 or above, surely.
We're not killing anyone.
Well, I mean, killing time.
The dwarves
currently.
passed the codex thing.
Okay, I'm going to have to shut up now because if he's going to talk, there's some sort of like benign deity that seems to have to do two voices at once. It's very hard to jump between this one and then back to this one. Very hard. It's very. I don't know why you do that. Why am I doing an impression of the dwarf that is in front of you? I don't know. I didn't know it was this good. Maybe I should give up cleric and become an actor. Anyway, that will be another job for another time. Okay. What were we doing again?
Now we've reached a really weird middle. I thought that was coming from your computer and it was the sound.
As you're staring at Poe, a hand appears in front of you and it just gets clicking in front of you as Ziggy just goes, come back, come back. No, this is the actual voice now, not the pile driver doing an impression. He was very good, so I think we should hire him at some point, but that would be another thing.
Feel free
Anyway,
to take him from my hands.
I don't want to take him right now. I think you might need him should you come into another fight.
True.
Anyway, you guys look like you need a cleric. Anyway. So, what I'm suggesting here is according from what I've been listening to as you and your colleague have spoke at some length, yes, and interrupted our lovely day of sniffing.
Sorry about that.
You could just swim over there if you were very strong. How strong would you say you are?
I'd say on a scale of 0 to 20. 10.
If you were to, yes, 10, that sounds very, no sort of modifier for that sort of thing, I imagine.
No, you don't get any pluses.
What about you, little one?
She's very strong. She just kind of...
A mute, very good. I thought I counted this out. Anyway, here's my suggestions for you. We need to, how is the word? We need to continue with our work, and once we have finished our work, we'll be able to go home, which will be lovely, because back in Grim, which is a very hard city to save, it's an accent I've just wiped out. Jesus Christ, this is why I should have practiced. Anyway, as back in Grim, we'll be able to just spend our time waiting for the Codex to call us again, but until that time, we are building.
That's cool. And helping us?
You will sway.
Sorry?
You will sway. Yes, good.
What did you say? Skree? Do you want that look? Carry on.
So, I'm suggesting if you would leave us be, or if actually, you scratch my back, I don't stab yours. That would be very good, yes. I'm suggesting if you do us a favour, we'll be able to help you get over to that place over that way, if
What's
you'd
the
like.
favour?
Well, there is a man over there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I say a man, he is a giant. He's a big man, he is very, very tall.
Most people are to me.
Yes. Anyway, he is very tall, and we want his trident.
Legally?
I would like his trident. How I get it is, I don't ask how the bread was made. I just enjoy the loaf.
Normally you buy the loaf first. There's an exchange.
Oh yes,
to make
that
it,
is very true. But,
what?
I am offering a payment of your travel over to that place.
What's the giant going to get out of giving you his trident?
Again, I don't tell the bread maker how to make the bread.
I mean, you can do that. It's just... Are you sure? Oh, Jesus. Poe.
Right, what?
Keep it down to 5 words.
5 words, right, got it. And he puts his hand up in front of him.
Yeah. What do you think?
What do you think? No, there's one more after that.
I feel very sorry for you, Kyra.
Right.
I'm loving it.
I understand exactly what
You're doing so well.
I understand exactly what you were asking. It's just that we're too big enough to pass up if we wanted to. Like, like your friend over there was saying, you don't ask how the bread is made, but you enjoy punching the dough anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyway. Sorry, I had to get back into the character by weird stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, don't ask where the egg come from, you don't get a spider. Okay, I've deliberated with myself and I've decided how I'm going to answer this in 5 or less words.
Yes.
I think we should. Okay?
Skree starts walking in the direction of the giants. Very proudly, like tiny little march.
I wish I could say it's
Bordering on a
operational
skip.
democracy, but they're all stronger than
I am
me.
suggesting
So
before
we're
you
good?
go
Yeah.
that you're going to need something to swim over there because as you just said, you're not very strong. And he reaches into his pouch and goes, if I were to receive a trident, I'd be a very, 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 very... No. He pulls out 3 vials. He goes, I have a very interesting concoction. This is a mixture of potion of giant strength. I think it was fire giant. I can't remember. It looks the same. You see, there is a little like fingernail floating in the middle of it, or a little fingernail in giant size. But there's a massive.
It's as big as our faces.
Yes, there's a fingernail floating in the middle of it that looks blackened. Yes, but it's also mixed with potion of water breathing. So you can swim good, but you also don't drown if you are swimming and you stop.
I do like that. Okay. Sadly, we were in a democracy here.
It is a
2
two-party
against 1?
system, or it is a no?
It feels like a 1-party system right now. I don't count as one. They just like hitting things.
All I shall say is bring back Maggie, hey?
I don't think Maggie was good for minors.
I am not a miner. I am a chronicler.
Fair. Elite.
So I do remember a Maggie who used to do a delivery service known as Maggie's Minor Removals. She was wonderful.
Okay. So you give us the potion. We go over there. We come back with this trident.
Yes.
Cool. How do we get back if we've drunk the potion?
Do you remember that moment earlier that I was saying about how I don't ask how the bread was made?
Okay. In which case, please don't give us a time limit on coming back.
Oh no,
That's
I
okay,
am.
'cause we
We'll
might
be
have to
here
take a
for a
long way.
while. Going to be here for a long while. So long.
Not gonna ask how.
Weeks and weeks. Weeks of building.
You'll be back home before
What are
you
you
know it.
building? What are you building?
Oh, see, if you just ask these questions very nicely, I answer them. Bloody visits. Anyway, so we are building a mechanism because apparently there is going to be a kraken attacking the world, or at least one world. It gets very confusing with the codex. I don't understand why.
This world?
No, another world, but it has a planar traveling ability. And it has this ability to jump between planes with its tentacles. So if one plane of resistance is getting tickled by this tentacle, another plane of resistance being tickled by this.
Okay.
You're enjoying this far too much.
Look, I had to write this really quickly.
Okay.
So what I'm suggesting, or not what I'm suggesting, what the codex is suggesting, I'm merely doing, is making this mechanism that will be able to catch the tentacle. Mm-hmm. It will draw it in, like a blue light to a moth. Mm-hmm. And then when it is reaching, it will get electric energy and it will be held. And then we will be able to cut it off. And then whoever is fighting the Kraken itself is only dealing with the big scary beaky bit.
Sounds good to me.
No.
If we take the potion now, we'll get going and leave you to it. The faster we go, the faster you get back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good. Cool. Well, that was a lovely morning. Anyway, please take these potions. Go. Do as you will. I will be here. You will be over there, hopefully. Who knows? I will return to my building now.
Good luck! And I just fucking run.
Wunderbar.
And Skree's now chasing you.
As your dog companion.
Have you washed the blood off yet?
No.
Oh, Jesus.
Have we come across any water yet?
We're
about
about
to.
to. Oh my god. Right, okay.
So yeah, she's looking a bit crusty.
Oh, Jesus, I remember.
A bit flaky. Oh, it's like little rose petals, but it's actually blood.
So I'm suggesting if we're about to drink this, then go out there. Do you want to drink it now, then go? Or would you like to just drink it at the window and then leap through? Or
I think we're drinking the window, leap through, and hope for the best.
awesome. Awesome forth. Right, so shall we do this as you stand outside the window once more, seeing the jellyfish in the distance?
Yeah.
Faster we do this, faster.
Cool. You each drink the potion. You now have water breathing for 1 hour,
Yeah.
which means that you can breathe water like air.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You have, for 1 hour, your strength has become 25.
Yeah!
Or plus 7 for those who need a modifier.
25 plus 7.
That increases all of your saving throws, your skills that you use.
I'm gonna need a calculator.
Any of them that, any that you're proficient in are now plus 11. Any that you're non-proficient in will just be plus 7.
It's very simple for me.
For an hour.
1 hour. There you go.
15. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be so confused. I'll work it out when we need it.
You're at plus 11 if you're proficient, because you've got a plus 4 bonus.
Okay. But then I got no, so that's 15. Doesn't matter. Probably won't use them anyway.
Anywho,
Got it.
cool. So,
No, because then that adds to this as well. Oh, that's very exciting.
yes, your strength,
Yes.
affects your strength roll. Oh yeah, you've got double proficiency.
Yes.
That's why you're saying 15. I was getting confused then.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I forget my classes. I thought they were on my face. Oh, glasses. Anyway, cool. So you guys are, you take the potion. You get this very nice kind of feeling of whiskey running down your gullet. You try your absolute hardest not to imbibe on the fingernail. And
Why? But it's really crunchy.
if you'd like to, you can.
You're gonna do it.
You
Go
eat
crunch
the
it.
fingernail as well. It's like crackling, which has been burnt. Anyway.
Tastes better than the cloud.
Your own fucking bowl. Oh. Right.
So,
So.
you immediately get the sense of like warmth running through you, and everything just feels very kind of like, yes, it feels great. Feels great. Anyway, you immediately jump through the window, just not really caring for it. And the moment you push through, there's this weird sensation of almost like a reverse of coming out of the pool sort of thing, where you know where you come from underwater up into dry air sort of thing, and you're starting to dry off, and you've had that sensation of being completely wet. You're now having that like it's almost like time is being reversed as you come back into the pool. And you immediately get the sensation that you can just push on through the water. Even yourself, Serophina, who's never been quite strengthy, you just have no issue just swimming around, even with all your clothes and such bagging you down. May I have a athletics check from you, Laz? Yes! I'm assuming someone did good.
I did good. I do.
16.
16, lovely.
Natural 20 plus 7.
Cool. And the DC was 28. Anyway, you all just start pushing away. Serophina, being someone who isn't wearing armor or anything like that, you just rocket on. You're
fucking technique.
like a torpedo. And you just start flying towards this jelly membrane that is ahead of you. The other two behind you, Poe seems to be somewhat not weighed down, but his bulk and size is something that he's struggling to maneuver, but he's definitely getting whichever direction he goes, he's going quite quick. And then Skree just seems to be she's swimming very fast, but she sees a fish go past and darts after it, and then realizes what she's doing and comes back. So she's a couple of feet behind you. Another athletics check.
Oh.
23.
13.
Your confidence starts to wane as you realise that although strength is great, sometimes stamina doesn't relate. So you just start pushing on. You're swimming. You start to slug a bit, and you see that now Poe is catching up with you and is just going at a nice steady pace rather than rocketing off the mark and then slowing down suddenly. And then you've got Skree that just kind of zooms past you, then comes around the pair of you, zooms past you again. Yes.
Using my wings to
You're about halfway there.
really good brush.
You can see that's about less than 100 feet away from you now. Can I have one more athletics check, please? Just to see how we do.
22.
14.
Lovely. And almost like fighting against each other, you start to get a bit annoyed by your renewed vigour. You push back on, and you both come to. You see that Poe is. You see that Poe is starting to ground rather than swim directly forward, and starts to walk on the floor towards the membrane. You guys seeing this swim like diagonal down, so you meet him on the floor, but are still travelling towards the membrane at the same time. And just as you get to the membrane itself, this is the last page, guys, so it's all improv from here. As you get closer to the outer wall of the stronghold, you notice the same sort of skin holding the water from the area past back at the opening in the rock face. However, rather than the feeling of jumping into the water you had earlier, the transition from sea to land feels static and painful. It's as if you're being stung as you pass through. Something of an explanation appears as you check yourself just as you're past the membrane and realise you're now completely dry again. Standing before you is a small keep, 3 or 4 buildings linked by roofed corridors. It's as if in response to your arrival, a door in the closest building opens and you realise that perspective seems to be an issue inside the jellyfish, as the man appears to step out of the door and then unfold into a man twice his size. His skin a deep electric blue, his eyes burning with current, bald-headed, and simple tunic covering his abdomen. He steps forth and greets you as Yggdrass, Gungnir's speaker.
What?
So his name is Yggdrass, so Y-G-D-R-A-S.
I don't think you've got enough consonants there.
I have a vowel, please, Carol. Oh, I see, we've got enough words for a teapot.
It's okay. It's okay.
So I could go for so many IT crowd references, knowing that that's the inn, and we're playing Dungeons and Dragons, so I will be your eyes. The camera didn't see me fall over because I'm amazing.
Yggdrass.
Yggdrass.
Speaker 4.
Gungnir's speaker.
Are you saying the exact word that I think you're saying?
Gungnir.
Thank you.
G-U-N-G-N-I-R.
Oh, I.
I mean, if you're following the theology of the podcast, you'll notice that Steve recently introduced an NPC called Grimnir, and now he's got one called Gungnir, which was Grimnir's staff if you are following a certain mythological... Oh, God, it's all so amazing! Please hire me, Wizard of the Coast. I need a job. I'll do anything for money, including Adventures League.
That's basically our USP, is that we take the piss out of everything, but come on!
No, I love Adventurers League. They have a great one-shot that we'll be running at the live show. 15th of June, please come. Please.
Play with us.
My rent isn't being paid by this stream. Anyway, it's not being paid by the live show either, Steve, because you have paid everyone else for being so wonderful. And you continue to read from the paper. And this is all written on the paper as if you knew this breakdown was going to happen. Oh my god, Inception. Unfinished. Yeah. Sorry, I forget where we were. Gungnir speaker.
We met the dude who absolutely isn't a rip-off of the previous character.
He's not a rip-off of the previous character.
Sorry, he's the guy who is the speaker for the rip-off of the previous character.
Oh, the previous character is not a rip-off either, because Gungnir is the staff of Grimnir. And that means he works for Grimnir.
I would like to wave in a nice, innocent, chirpy
He gestures with his hand to follow him. And seeing as an easy win, you follow.
Yes.
Stepping into the building, everything looks like a typical stone castle with braziers and banners on the walls, simple wood furnishing, but everything has been magnified. This is a giant's castle after all. Following along the corridor, you see a line of different portraits and kind of plaques with famous quotes. However, languages, please.
Dwarvish,
Dwarvish.
common, and halfling.
Sorry?
I've got
Common,
giant.
halfling.
Common and halfling, lovely.
I've got giant, draconic, undercommon, and sylvan.
You recognise some of the letters from being Dwarvish, Serophina, but you can't read any of them. You just recognise the bunny ears that sit aside a quote, and the occasional like A or a Z that appears in that. And for you, Skree, you recognise the last words of famous giants that have died in the past millennia. You wander past one or two of them. One says, "We're basically gods." Another says, "I want to be a ranger in campaign 2." There's one of them that says, "Steve has been fired from alignment." Anyway, but you notice that the portraits are all done in this kind of regal kind of fashion as well as you're walking past. And they are of kind of like the dawn of battle image type thing, where they're stood quite proudly with famous weapons, such as you see an immediately obvious kind of portrait of Therm, the god of frost giants, who has this incredibly large and beautifully crafted double-edged blade, which I forget the name of. I think it's Wognir or something like that. He stood with his famous double-headed axe. You see this other quite known to the free folk as Rangrim, who is this kind of frost giant that has a Tarask skin as a kind of poncho type thing hanging over him, and he stands with just blades lining his chest that just hang from different hilts and such that just hang, so he can just immediately pull and ready to fight. As you walk down the corridor, you are led into a central chamber where there is a ominous kind of
Seamless.
That's not ominous enough. Obliteration. There's an ominous music playing. They don't know how it
And the Phantom of the Opera in the corner.
Phantom from space!
I don't feel like I've died this before.
Yeah, this is that entrance to the last place I died. I can't remember why. Anyway, you enter into the throne room, or at least the meeting hall of Gungnir himself. This gigantic, even in the state of a giant size. Most giants spread from 15 feet up to 23 feet. Storm giants being the big kids of the playground. This giant stands at 25 feet tall. He is completely bald. He stands in regal kind of plate armour that has been crafted to portray the scene of lightning crashing into a tree across his chest. His eyes burn a light blue as he raises his head as he sits slumped in his throne and looks at you three coming in, and immediately spits on the ground, and you notice that he's staring directly at Poe as this happens. Yggdrasil steps forward, and you recognise this immediately in giant Skree. You don't recognise anything by saying, you just hear this low kind of sort of thing, almost like listening to a conversation in the next room through a thick wall. Not that I know what that sounds like.
Can I read any like body language or anything?
Yeah, you get the sense that Yggdrasil is very kind of curt and to the point. He is very diplomatic but very respectful. And he, once he finishes talking, he immediately backs to the corner and shuts down almost.
What did he say?
You hear him introduce more free folk from the surface world, my lord. Should I do with them what I did the rest? And he just kind of waves him to one side. And doesn't respond verbally, he just waves him to one side. So you would also see this kind of dismissal as he finishes. Do you say anything?
I step forward and I'm like, "Good day, my lord," and I give like a big bow. I just wait.
It is not a good day when I have the free folk enter my domain. It is definitely not a good day. And he looks down to Poe again and just glowers at him. When I have demon spawn in my midst as well.
Skree does a little dog shake to get the string water off as well. There's a little stain on the carpet.
Is it water?
Okay. She's just... It's fine.
We said we'd come out. Oh, we're still right. So I thought we'd gone here through.
You have.
Yeah. So
you're in. You're all dry from the membrane stinging you as well.
Yes.
But this is Skree.
Yes.
She's soggy.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, Skree. I'm Serophina. And this is Poe.
He just nods and doesn't break eye contact with Gungnir at all.
We heard that there was a bit of an issue going on, and we were wondering if we could help, with the free folk and the giants. We were hoping that we could, negotiate and help out. And to do that, we kind of need to talk to King Hector.
You want to talk to King Hekaton?
What?
You free folk and your crassness. And he just raises his hands and just slowly claps at you.
Skree joins in.
To make this look normal.
Poe just leans down to you, still keeping eye contact with him.
Yeah.
He said, I don't think that should be. Don't do that. If I'm honest with you.
Okay. Do you want to lead?
Fine, I can lead if you want. This is going to be
To
very.
make it really difficult for Steve.
So Poe kind of steps forward, walking on his.
So into the RP, you forgot that you were asking Steve to have a conversation with himself.
Poe steps forward, leaning on his spear, and just kind of you. Could you both make perception checks for me? Holding it in his hand.
14.
14.
Unnatural 20.
Nice one. You don't So you just see Poe step forward and places his spear as if leaning onto it, and all the while keeping eye contact with Gungnir. The Skree, you notice as he places it, his hand slightly turns, and he just places it down as he's turning the hand, and you notice this thin kind of blue light shoot from the ground up to the spearhead as if a lightning bolt has just shot from the ground up to the spearhead itself. He just steps forward and goes, do I call you Your Highness? I'm not too sure how I approach such a lord, but I guess I just ask what the free folk have done if I'm so inclined to an answer. And Gungnir just turns, and with a complete look of disdain on his face, all the while, is the free folk, they have taken King Hecaton.
What?
You have taken King Hecaton.
Do you know anything about this? I don't have him.
And he also now stands grabbing this like large kind of silver ornate kind of candlestick that was stood next to him that seemed to have light burning at the top of it. And as he grabs it and stands to his full stature, you notice that it's not actually a candlestick at all. It's actually a trident with light emanating from the three prongs of the trident.
That's a nice trident.
Yeah, I do not know why you come to rub our noses in the dirt, but make no mistake, we are not. And it's this moment that you notice that almost imperceptibly fast, the hand of Poe went from holding to round, and then flings the spear, skyrocketing as a lightning bolt itself rather than as a spear, straight through the heart of Gungnir, and turns to the pair of you, and his eyes were a blue that you saw previously. They're now starting to look slightly green, and he licks his lips as he turns to you and hunches forwards, and you notice this kind of sense of wings spreading out from his back, and he leans forward and starts to get a lot bigger as what appears in front of you is an ancient blue dragon rearing down upon you, and he goes, "Thank you for the lift." And he just launches himself through the wall and out of the keep. Yggdrasil, just shocked, drops to his knees, doesn't understand what's going. Bells start to ring around the complex as they see this dragon just bursting out of the wall, and you hear the sound of almost like, it sounds like some sort of like tear in fabric, and you notice looking out of the wall, the membrane that makes the jellyfish kind of frame around the complex just tears open as this blue dragon skyrockets through and out, and water comes slamming through the opening. And that is where we shall leave.
What? No!
That is where we shall leave this one shot.
Fuck you, Steve. I mean, to be fair, the whole way through I was going, that's clearly a reference to something that's happening in campaign 2. That's clearly a reference to something that's
This was
happening in
all a
campaign 2.
prologue to campaign 2.
I know! I was just going, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
In fairness, I'm glad you've done that, because I
Means that we're in
guaranteed
the
would
world.
have nat wand that shit.
Oh no, so the idea was if we had a bit more time, you were going to fight the Storm Giant, but I wanted to have the reveal before the fight and just murder him outright and get the... So the idea that I had, to explain it to you two and also for you guys, hi, we were going to play Storm King's Thunder as campaign 2, but I read Storm King's Thunder and it didn't sit well with the campaign characters, because all three of you have done that beautiful thing where players go, this is campaign 1's character, this is a very base idea, and I've got these little things I want to do. And then there's such complex ideas that I was like, why would I waste those characters on a pre-written story when their story is big enough to hold themselves? So, although we are being influenced by Storm King's Thunder for the for campaign 2, and it is a great book for anyone who is reading the books looking for a new campaign. It is the best laid out DM's notes ever. It literally levels 1 to 5. I'm just on chapter 1. Everything is self-contained. There is an entire few chapters that explains the entirety of the Sword Coast, and in such beautiful detail. I love that book, but at the same time, the story would have been an insult to your characters.
And we'd have died very early.
Yes. Big spoilers. The one-shot we just played now is essentially a reworking of certain ideas that can happen at the end of Storm King's Thunder. So if you wanted to run in as a group of level 10s to fight a Kraken and a fucking and a ancient blue dragon after fighting a Storm King, yeah, you do that, mate. So this sets up what will be happening in campaign 2, which is mere days around this event happening. Is the start of campaign 2. What I've done has not said you die outright, because Skree and Serophina could quite easily survive a swim back to the surface, because you are literally just, as long as because you're both quite dexterous, because you've got the potion of water breathing still running, and you've got the fire giant strength, you could quite easily push to the surface. Yes. There's no way that couldn't be a possibility. Unless you rolled really badly if you wanted to test it through rolling. But if you said to me in campaign 2, heaven forbid, but your characters in campaign 2 die, and you go, I want to bring that one back because I really enjoyed her from the one shot, I have no issue of you going, yeah, she survived that water blast, and we go into it that way. Because according to the bits of the chat I did watch, people like Skree Bite.
It's a classic, guys.
And I've always enjoyed
She's
Skree.
so much fun.
And Serophina was so much fun to watch. You, as our audience of returning members will know, you're such a wonderful.
Proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I didn't realise after we started, I was like, I have left you to fend for yourself.
As the spectator player who just every now and then knocks it out of the park, to watch an entire one shot of you going, I'm leading the ship, was so impressive.
That was basically a duet with me going,
Hi
guys.
But yeah.
Serophina's a strong and independent lady.
So I will tell you your XP off air if you wanted to keep them in canon leveling.
Yeah, that's the only downside, is we'd have to wait until level 10 to be able to bring them in.
That's true.
But then if you've already got the timing and stuff,
I've already set it up that
that's like.
Or it could be that you do, like, especially as this is a couple of days before the beginning of the campaign start, you could quite easily go that they are weakened by that, and then they rebuild their stamina through
your fudging.
This is how I make most of my characters work all the time. Balthazar Frostbane has been so many different levels. Level 20, level 2.
No wonder what your inspiration for Grim is. Secrets. Where?
That's why his head's so head.
Wait till you see that time where Grimnir has 2 ravens on his shoulder.
You were doing Mean Girls quote, and I really respect it.
Thank you. I hate that film, but that quote's good.
You hate that film?
They're horrible!
You don't even go here!
I'm thinking, this is how it makes me feel! Can we stop streaming?
Remember,
I love
everyone.
it because I say accidentally. No idea it was an accident because she left it in my DVD player. I stole my copy of Mean Girls from a Mean Girl, and so it has another layer of satisfaction to it.
Remember that although on Wednesdays we wear pink, on Thursdays and on Mondays and on Sundays we'll be wearing purple, because AU is back, motherfucker! Anyway.
Yes.
That's enough from us, because that one needs to go off and be social.
Going on hand do.
That one
Good
needs
luck.
to go off
It will be
and
fun.
probably just chill for a bit. And gin.
I
To
see
gin
in the
for a bit.
future.
I did buy 2 bottles of tonic.
And
I thought you were going to say gin.
I don't need more gin.
No, you don't.
and I have.
Well, you do, because like we drank a bottle on Sunday night.
Big bottle.
It was really good.
Guys. It was good.
I'm 30 something hangovers are a painful experience.
Still
Emma,
25.
if you're still watching this, 30 something hangovers would be a great sequel to 30 something. Don't know why it comes to mind. Anyway.
I felt quite good. I was 25. And
Bitch.
I should do that in the
Spent the whole
brain.
day on the sofa going.
To be fair, I didn't wake up until like 12, so.
Slept. Anyway.
Sorry, guys.
You're going to go Hendu, you're going to go Jindu, and I have 10 more episodes in the current campaign of Adventure Zone, which go listen to, because fuck my life, Duck Newton and Beacon are the best. I mean, they're all great, but for those who are listening and watching and have met Beacon, just... I can't wait for sentient weapons in our campaign again, because I miss them. I'm going to bring Thor back.
Oh, God.
I'm going to have to DM 4, which is going to kill me. But it's fine because I used to play it, so... To you all, have a good evening. And we shall see you on May the 5th for our Campaign 1, Episode 1.
Campaign 2.
Campaign 2.
We're not starting
Episode
again.
9.
Straight to the start.
Yeah.
You do it.
Campaign...
Forward.
Campaign... 6 campaigns in a movie?
You know you want it, guys.
I know we do.
Like, we really do.
Yeah.
Bye!
Bye!